People treat pain like a glitch, like it isn't supposed to be part of the program. But you sat with it. That's why you're still breathing. My lovely anomalies. Let's talk about the ones who learned to smile through it. Let's begin. Once someone survives hell without begging for mercy, they stop being scared of fire. The ones who smile through pain aren't quite human anymore. They became their own rescue. No savior was ever coming. Those nights your chest held 1,000 knives, wondering why they chose everybody else. Those nights built you. Pain made you. Not the soft version who begged to be loved. The quiet one who stopped explaining himself and started becoming. You thought pain was punishment. It was training. While they slept in comfort, you were in the dark, learning to fight when your voice was gone. Now they want to say you've changed. No, you just became what the pain was shaping you into. They think healing means pretending it never happened. You carry your wounds like armor instead. That silence is your superpower now. Nothing unsettles people more than a silent man they couldn't break. They talk behind your back because the front of you terrifies them, because they threw stones at someone who built something out of the wreckage and never even bragged about it. People love an underdog until the underdog becomes the threat. You stayed humble, and they mistook it for weakness. You didn't scream, you improved. Pain stripped you down to bone, tore off the masks. What's left is the raw, untouchable version. One that doesn't beg, doesn't chase, smiles even at pain. Funny how the ones who caused it act surprised when you go quiet, like they didn't watch you bleed while laughing. When you screamed, they felt safe. Noise is predictable. Now you just observe. Silence doesn't mean nothing's happening. It means everything is happening quietly. They don't know what it costs to wake up with a war inside your chest and still show up with your head high. You learned to become your own anchor when the world kept cutting your ropes. Now they come crawling back with the same recycled apologies, but you're not bitter. That's what makes you dangerous. You wear that silence like a crown now, because pain doesn't destroy the real ones. It sharpens them. They thought they'd break you. All they did was reveal the steel underneath. And now look at you, still standing, still dangerous. You're not what happened to you. You're what you did about it. Moving on isn't about forgiving everyone who stabbed you. It's building a life so solid, their absence becomes a blessing. Let your peace torment them louder than your pain ever could. That's the only revenge that matters. Nobody claps for you while you're healing. They only show up once the results show. But you were never in this for applause. You swore you'd never be that broken again. The old soft version had to die, so this one could survive. You don't beg for love anymore. You carry the weight quietly, relentlessly. You smile at pain now, not because it stopped hurting, but because you own it. That's power. That's what breaks the world. A man who's been through hell and came back laughing. Pain burns away the unnecessary. You stop wearing masks to make people comfortable. Stop lying about who loves you and who just loves using you. It pulled back the curtain and made you finally see yourself. You weren't weak, just too loyal. Not lost, just surrounded by noise. Now you don't hand your soul over just because someone says the right words. You've become precise, selective, and that terrifies people who used to walk all over you. They call you cold. Good. Cold means clear. Cold means your peace is no longer up for negotiation. They don't understand how hard it is to stay soft in a world that eats the gentle alive. So you armored up, Stopped apologizing for your boundaries. That silence is where the real power lives. Once you stop needing closure, you become untouchable. Pain is a teacher that never leaves. It sleeps in your bed. Instead of fearing it, you shook its hand. It taught you patience, the ugly kind, where you wait while everything screams to run. It taught you silence, not as surrender, but as strategy. While they shout and panic, you move in shadows. You don't react, you respond. Let them misunderstand. You're not here for validation. You're here for the version of yourself underneath the wreckage. Growth was never about becoming who they wanted. It's becoming who you needed when the world turned its back. You're the storm they never saw coming. Calm outside, chaos in your silence. It tried to bury you, but forgot you were a seed. While they danced on your grave, you were rooting deep. Now you're rising, unapologetically. You don't owe them noise, closure, or even a goodbye. They thought your silence meant broken. It was the sound of rebuilding. You didn't seek revenge. You sought redemption. While they celebrated your downfall, you were mapping your comeback. Not for them, for you. To prove pain doesn't end you. You met that version in your lowest moment, when even your shadow felt distant, and you kept standing anyway. That's when you earned your name. Real power was never domination, it's restraint. Walking away when you could destroy them, choosing peace because you're too focused on the empire on the other side. They live for chaos. You live for silence, strategy, solitude. When you go silent, it's because you've said too much, waited too long, and now you've shifted out of their reach. You no longer wait to be chosen, you choose yourself. That version who stayed, apologized, tolerated, dead and buried. What rose is sharper, cleaner. What hurt most wasn't the betrayal. It was loving them honestly, while they only loved you when convenient. But that's done. You've outgrown that version of yourself. Even if they come back crying, you've learned peace is worth more than history. So walk. Don't run. Don't explain. Walk like someone who's tasted fire and made it part of his bloodstream. And when it gets heavy, smile. Not because it's easy, but because you've already survived what they said you couldn't. Smiling at pain is defiance. Your message, I've bled, I've broken, and I'm still here. They look at you now like they don't recognize you, because they don't. That soft-hearted soul who bent until his spine cracked to keep everyone comfortable is gone. In his place stands something colder, quieter, stronger. Pain rewires your soul. You stop romanticizing people, stop chasing closure from cowards. You start choosing peace over presence, silence over explanation. Your answer to a world that tried to silence you. I'm still here. Most people don't care how deep your wounds are, as long as you keep smiling. Crack once, and they'll call you too intense. So you mastered the art of pretending, smiling while your world was on fire. And when you finally learned to survive silently, they had the nerve to call it change. Of course, you changed. That pain rewrote your beliefs and stripped away the part of you that needed others to feel whole. What's left is raw, unshakable. You don't ask why me anymore. You carry your scars as proof you walked through fire and didn't become the flame. You walk differently now. Speak less, trust slower, love smarter, not colder. Once you've been shattered, you stop handing your pieces to people with slippery hands. Healing was never about hearing, "I'm sorry." It's deciding their lack of remorse won't hold your progress hostage. Stepping forward and saying, "This pain is mine, and I'm done dragging it like a chain." That's the real weight to lift, not the gym kind, the soul kind. The more you grow, the lonelier it gets. That's the part nobody warns you about. As you rise, the crowd thins, not because you changed, but because you finally started enforcing standards. People who were only there for the old, pliable you can't survive the boundaries of the new one. Let them leave. You already fell 1,000 times. You just stopped staying down. Now you don't even react. You just smile. Not because it stopped hurting, but because you've learned to carry pain without letting it change your posture. That calm is what scares them. When a man is fueled by pain instead of destroyed by it, he becomes something the world can't control. The people who caused your pain always play the victim, act like they forgot every time they pushed you away, and came back like nothing happened. When you finally stopped explaining, they painted you as the villain. That's the game. They set the fire, then point fingers when you walk out of the flames wearing armor. Real strength is saying nothing and walking away, not because you're weak, but because they no longer deserve access to your voice. It was never about you not being enough. It was about them not being ready to face someone real in a world full of fakes. You were a mirror, and mirrors make liars uncomfortable. That's when the tables turned, the moment you chose solitude over fake connection. Now your silence isn't empty. It's sacred. It's where you recharge, where you plan. You've learned that consistency is louder than any promise, and that some people are only loyal when it's convenient. You've stopped chasing ghosts, stopped mourning people who are still alive, but dead to your soul. Peace costs something. Sometimes it costs people, comfort, the familiar. You'd rather walk alone than walk in circles. So smile. Smile at the ashes of the bridges you had to burn to save yourself. Not with vengeance in your heart, but power in your eyes. You didn't just survive, you transformed. They'll never admit they missed the version of you that bled for them. But that man is gone, and the silence you give them now in return is justice. You found beauty in the solitude they thought would break you. It became your sanctuary, taught you to listen to your own heartbeat instead of their noise, taught you that not every connection deserves a second chance. You didn't glue yourself back together with hope. You used purpose. You didn't get colder, you got clearer. Don't mistake the peace for weakness, the silence for absence. Everything you do now is intentional, calculated. You've learned to move without making noise, and that's exactly what keeps them up at night. You used to make yourself small for them. Now you make yourself solid for you. You grew roots so deep in pain that no storm can pull you out again. When they say your name now, it tastes different. It carries weight, mystery, and the quiet knowledge that they can't reach you anymore. Not out of hate. You're just too busy building what they tried to break. That's your loudest revenge. So smile at pain. Not to show them you're okay, to show yourself you made it. They buried you, and you became the seed. Funny thing about seeds. Bury them deep enough, in the dark, in the cold, and they don't die. They just figure out which way is up. Everything they buried in you is exactly what's blooming now. Smiling in the dark now, Joker.